Get it. We here. Welcome everybody. Everyday Celebrity Media News. This is another episode. This is an interactive news show that the people make. You know what I'm saying? I cannot be everywhere in the Bay Area, obviously. So this show is designed for the people. If you have a story or anything to get off your chest, you see something happening in the streets or whatever, you call in virtually, or you can call in with the number that's provided and become a part of the show and tell me exactly what kind of stories you have. And they could be anything in the world that you desire. But tonight I want to talk about something, a show. It's the number one show in the country right now. If you watch one of these shows, you would literally be hooked. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, the show is called 90 Day Fiance. Now, I watched this show. I've been watching this show for like a few months now, and I'm like caught up on everything. But this show is literally addictive as fuck. If you watch this show once, you will get addictive. And the reason I watch it is because this shit is fucking hilarious. These couples that be on these shows, and I keep wondering how the hell do these old, out of shape, white men from in the middle of nowhere be pulling these fine ass Ukrainian bitches, Colombian hoes with big ass titties and ass. And I always ask myself, are these fucking relationships real or are they fake? Now, everyone who watches the show, they always say, oh, yeah, this fake relationships. They only want a green card. But these people, if you keep up with the show, these people literally stay together for years and years and years. Now, I don't know what the hell these women see in these men, but that's the topic that we're going to talk about today. Now, if you guys don't know who, I'm going to give you guys a little example these couples, that I'm talking about. Now, if you let's Google 90 Day Fiance, right? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's just find what these couples look like. Now, here's a couple right here. This dude is like, well, I mean, this girl's like a go-go dancer in Ukraine or whatever. This guy is like some nerd from fucking Alabama or some shit. Now let's see. Let's go to images actually. Now look at this. Do y'all see this right here? Do y'all see this guy right here? Now this was a couple this was a couple that was on last year. Look at this guy. Now this is the girl that he was about to marry, that she chose him. Now if you see, this guy has no neck. You know what I'm saying? He's short, ugly as fuck. Now, let's go. Oh, let's see. Let's find another couple. Let's find another couple. I'm trying to look for the fucking. Oh, this is another one. This is another couple. These two. This dude is a Muslim and she disrespects his culture like left and right. And she's from Florida. Bad as hell. And this dude's some like poor dude from he lives in Jordan, I believe. But that's another example. But the real example I want to show you guys. Oh my God, here's another one. Look at this. Now this one is fucking. I don't know what the hell's going on here. This woman is like in her 60s. This is a guy from India, young as fuck. I think he's like 27 or something. This girl, man, you know how when you crumble up, if you crumble up a piece of paper and then try to stretch it out again, that's what the fuck she looks like. But yeah, like I said, these couples are crazy. Now, we are going to talk to a specific person who went through a similar situation, and we're going to talk to her because she went through a similar situation as well, kind of like a 90-day fiance thing, but it wasn't. They're still together, and we are going to get the inside scoop on what she went through trying to seal the deal. So we're going to wait for her to call in. And then talk to her. We got a packed show tonight. We got Anne Marie calling in later. Going to give you guys some advice on renters. If you're a renter out here in the Bay Area or in Oakland specifically, she's going to call in and give you guys some information on what to do if you lost your job during these COVID times. And then we also have sports. Yahoo Sports with Ron Freed. Let's see if he calls in. And then that would be the show. She's having technical difficulties. And if you guys want to call in and voice anything, that's the number on the top of the screen. It's the open line. You can call in and say whatever you want. Like I said, this show is interactive. It's for the people, made by the people. If my sound is good, please give me a thumbs up, anyone. If you can hear me. And we are just waiting for Emily. Like I said, this topic is about 90 Day Fiance and the craziness that goes on that show. Don't mind me smacking, I'm just eating some Skittles. How's everybody doing out there? Everybody good? We're trying to get Emily on the line. Bear with me. Also, if you have a COVID story, call in, please. If you have a COVID story. This is about relationships during COVID. And a lot of you motherfuckers are breaking up. Because you cannot deal with your spouse during these times. So we now have Emily. We are now going to bring Emily in. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can.
Fantastic. Well, technology. Isn't this fun?
What? What'd you say?
I said technology. Isn't this fun?
It is. I mean, if you know how to use it.
Okay.
So we have Emily Van Dyke. Welcome to the show.
What's up? Oh. Yeah, very generous applause from the live audience.
Yeah. So if you want to give the people your name, tell us your name. I mean your full name. You don't go by. I just know you by Emily, but give us your full government.
Yeah. Well, my current government name is Emily Aldama. Since I got married, but I do comedy under Emily Van Dyke, which is my maiden name.
How long you been doing comedy?
since 2011. So about to go on 10 years.
So,
10
so
years.
you're a certified comedian, basically, like a professional comedian.
Yeah, there's no certification, but yeah, I'm a local comedian. I don't think City College offers a certification
No,
in
they don't take
comedy.
no test or anything.
Nothing. There's no verification. There's no blue check or green check or whatever the checking
Oh
is.
damn. All right. Well, the purpose for you coming on the show is to talk about. Well, the topic is 90 Day Fiance. Have you seen that show
Hmm.
before?
I have. Yeah, I've lived it also.
You like
It's
the
really
show?
hit. I don't like watch the show very often because it's pretty cheesy, but I've seen it a couple times. I find it endearing to watch people's intercultural struggles.
Mm. So you think the show is not realistic?
Oh, I think the show is realistic, but I definitely think there's like two types of couples. There's the couples that are like actually in it because they care for each other, and there's the couples because like one person or both people are trying to manipulate the situation towards some sort of like personal goal that they have.
Mm. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
you said you went through the same situation, correct? Or yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So can
I
you tell us your situation?
Sure. So I met my husband in Cuba in 2016, actually 4 years ago this month. Um, and I was on right after Trump got elected. I went to Cuba on vacation because I was like, he's about to shut this down. Can I cuss? He's about to shut this shit down.
Yes, you can cuss.
Because he got a little whiteboard of everything that Obama accomplished, and he was just scratching off every little thing. So the Obama administration actually opened the U.S. embassy in Havana, and so I knew that was going to be a short-lived situation. So I went down there. They didn't have Wi-Fi really at the time, so my Airbnb never confirmed. I ended up walking around Havana with a suitcase for a long time and ran into this woman, and she hooked me up with a hotel. And there was a super
How did wait? How'd you run into the woman? You was just
So I like had downloaded TripAdvisor and was just kind of like going from address to address. This is like December 27th. So basically everything's booked for New Year's. So
you
I
just
was just like
knocking on
walking
random
around.
people's doors.
Yep. I was that white lady, like sweaty white lady with a suitcase, just walking around
Yeah.
after, 20 hours of flying, and ended up meeting this woman, Reina, who actually her bed and breakfast was full. But then she was like, I like you. I don't know why. Come on in, have a coffee. And we started talking. She was like, I actually have another hotel that's kind of like under construction, but you're welcome to stay there. And so we jumped on a bike taxi and went over there. And it was actually very lovely, like in the middle of old Havana. It was like through this little art gallery. And it was like a brand new construction, very like modern design. And the breakfast chef, I guess, was super muscular and lovely and just like, sweet as pie. And now my husband. So yeah, and that was his second day of working there. And he wasn't even supposed to be working there. He actually went to like visit this culinary school with his sister, and she didn't end up liking it, but he ended up liking it. So he took a couple classes. Then this hotel came to the culinary school asking for like a recommendation. He got recommended. He started working there. The next day I met him, and yeah, we went on a first date, and he told me that he had like a vision about meeting me, and that we end up getting married and having two daughters on our first date. And now we're married and we have one daughter. So it's a little insane, actually.
Did So when you met him that first day, did you? I mean, how did you got you approached him?
No, I just like the woman Raina like dropped me off at the hotel, and she was like, you can leave your suitcase downstairs and Luis will make you a juice. And so I like walked upstairs and I saw this like the back of this dude, and I don't know, I felt like a weird like energy coming off of him, and I'm like, fuck, I was like, well, this is over. This is over for me. This is over for this guy. I don't know. It was very strange. And then I went and called my best friend from like first grade, and she was like, trap that dude in a jar. He's never even been on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like he's never seen online porn. This is a beautiful brand new butterfly. This shit does never happen.
So
So yeah.
you weren't worried about like a guy who never seen porn, never been on the internet, and then finally comes to America and there's porn everywhere, titties everywhere, a million big booties everywhere besides yours.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't worried about.
I have a small to medium sized booty,
Yeah,
just for the
I was
record.
being sarcastic.
Okay, got it.
But you weren't worried about this guy coming and then seeing all this shit and then like, damn, going crazy. It's like when a person first like gets a taste, like a kid who first gets a taste of like some candy, and now they want more. Then you drop them in a candy store, surrounded by all these candies. You don't think he's not going to like try to grab one? So you weren't worried about that?
I don't think that was like my primary concern, no, but there's definitely a transition period because obviously like Caribbean life is very slow. You know, it's kind of just like visiting with neighbors, you know, like walking around, having lunch. It's like very chill, you know, and then America is just like work 20 jobs. You're up from like 6 a.m. till midnight, you know, every minute is scheduled, or you're watching something on your computer and your TV and your phone. It's just like blah, 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 blah. So it's a lot of transition. But I don't know, when he got here, you know, we had a lot of conversations around like, you know, what kind of being intentional about how you want your life to be here, you know, like, do you want to stay together? If so, this is what we got to do, you know, to kind of like, you know, kind of work towards that or whatever. Cause obviously it's not just your relationship that's transitioning. You're transitioning from, you know, socialism into capitalism, into from Spanish into English in his case. And, you know, from your community and your friends and your family to just me. And also we were in a long distance relationship and now we're together like 24/7. So it's a lot of bumps right at the beginning and you only have 90 days to figure it out, which is the really challenging part about that.
So the 90-day thing is true. It's not just the name of the show.
No, it's true. You have from the time you check in with immigration, you have 90 days to get married, or you are technically like have overstayed your visa, and then you could, you know, could be up for deportation, or you know, or you could stay, which is sometimes what people do also. But so you have 90 days to get married.
You guys met in Cuba, and how long were you in Cuba the first time you guys met? Or was it Cuba or Colombia?
Like a week. Cuba.
Oh, Cuba. Okay, so you were there a week. And then you left and kept in contact.
Yeah, he kept calling me.
When you left, did you think it was just going to be a fling, or were you like, oh, damn, I got to be in a relationship with this guy?
I just thought it was a fling, you know. I was like, all right, I'll see you never, you know. I don't know. And then he was like, no, we're together. Like, it's whatever you need to do back home to like put your mind on the tracks. It's happening. Like we end up getting married, so you need to get on board. And I was like, this is very interesting. So I don't know. As soon as I landed, he just like would keep calling me and WhatsApp and message, and we talked pretty much every day. And in Cuba, you know, you only make a couple of dollars a day because it's like, you know, the normal monthly salary is around $30 a month. So he would go to work and make like $2 or $3, and then he would go to the internet park and spend like $1 on the internet card. And then we would talk for an hour. And so basically, I mean, ostensibly he would like go to work just to talk to me. So I don't know. I believed it. I was like, this is like some real thing, you know? So, and then I would go and he would like, you know, he'd like buy me a little gift. And I'm like, this gift, this cigar is $10. This is like 2 weeks of work, you know? So it's in those kind of like terms, you're just like, this person is like really giving it, you know? So
when you left, when you came back from that first trip, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys didn't establish like, oh, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, did you? Or were you guys just talking?
I don't know. I don't think.
Did you see anyone he introduced.
I was actually seeing someone. I was actually seeing someone when I went to Cuba, and my husband was like, "Just break up with him. You're with me now." And he actually introduced me to his family as his girlfriend. Like the first time I met them, he was like, "This is Emily. This is my girlfriend." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." No, it was super weird. I was like, can we dial it back a little bit? Like, I just met you like 4 days ago. And he was like, yeah, but we like, you're my girlfriend. You're going to be my wife. And this is what happens. But it's so interesting because in like his religion, they have like kind of like predictive like readings or whatever. And he had already had this reading that he meets this woman from another country and they end up getting married and having 2 daughters. And then, I don't know, for him, it was very like set. And for me, I was like, all right, well, let's see how this goes. So I went back like 6 weeks later, actually with the fiance visa paperwork, because I was like, all right, let's see what his reaction is. Like, is he going to be like, oh, I was like, just kidding or whatever. So I brought the paperwork and he was like, great, let's fill it out. And his grandma was there and she was like helping with the dates and the birthdays and everything. And I was like, this is some real thing. And it was just so normal, very strange. And I thought, okay, we'll just get the paperwork going. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just cancel the petition. So
why do you feel when people hear these stories like this and they're like, okay, well, this guy is saying you're his girlfriend and he only spent like 48 hours with you, or he wants to get married after like spending a week with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people hear these stories, then they come up with the assumptions like, okay, they really just want to get their prime objective is just to get to the U.S. and by any means necessary. That's why they want to
Mm-hmm.
like move so quickly. What do you say to
Mm-hmm.
that?
I say that's probably true for many cases, like, because it's a lot of people, do want to have more opportunity or leave where they're from. So yeah, that's definitely a concern. But also, Luis is my husband's name. He was always telling me, like, if I was going to try to escape to another country, it wouldn't be the United States. He's Afro-Cuban who only speaks Spanish. He's like, I'm not trying to be mistreated by a country that has a horrible history of mistreating Cubans, mistreating Black people, and mistreating Spanish-speaking immigrants. So not my top choice to try to finagle my way into your country. And I was like, point taken. That's a very true point.
Yeah. So during these, okay, so you guys got married and you guys when you got married in Cuba?
No, there's actually 2 visas. There's a 90-day fiance visa where you're engaged, and then you petition to have your fiance come here, and then you have 90 days to get married here. Or there's a CR1 visa where you're married in Cuba or wherever the person's from, and then you petition to bring your husband here. So those are 2 different marriage-based visas that you can opt from. The fiance visa is a little bit more not risky, but a little bit more like things aren't set in stone. Obviously you could get here and it could not work out, and then the person either like stays or whatever. But I did bring out of the closet, this is one binder of evidence of our relationship, and this is
Is
the
that a bunch of love
second
letters or
binder.
something?
This is everything from like WhatsApp messages, emails, phone calls, and they all have to be translated. So if they're in Spanish, which they all are, they have to be like certified translated. Proof of my employment, 3 years of tax returns,
You got to prove
pay
that you make
stub
enough
for
to
3
support
months.
him.
Yep. Because you're a sponsor. You're basically sponsoring an immigrant financially. So you have to show your tax returns. You have to get a letter from your employer saying you're employed and for how long you've been employed. You have to show your savings account, checking account, all your assets basically. And then lots of photos photos with captions, photos with friends and family, like social media posts. Like you have to basically prove that your relationship is authentic from both sides. So it has to be like both people are participating like in a convincing way in the relationship.
And
so
you guys
it's
passed the first time?
Yeah, but we had to go to Colombia to do it. So it was because the embassy was closed. My prediction was true. The embassy in Havana was closed like shortly after Trump took office because of a mysterious noise machine that gave the employees headaches. And so the American government deemed that this was a dangerous situation because people were getting extreme headaches from a noise that they couldn't figure out. So they closed the embassy. It was very not in the news, but it caused a ton of heartache in Cuba and in our situation, because then our entire case had to be rerouted to Bogota, Colombia. And so we had to fly to Colombia to do the entire process.
So how much did everything like basically cost? Like, is it in the
Just to
thousands?
do the original application, like the first like petition, it's like it's somewhere around like $500, 525 maybe. And then to go and do the interview, obviously in Colombia, I had to do plane tickets from Cuba for him, planes tickets from me. We had to stay for 2 weeks. It's a long process. You have to get like a medical exam. You have to get x-rays. You have to get vaccinations. You have like a multi-part interview, and then they review your case. And then if it's approved, you have to go pick up your visa and passport. So it was like 2 weeks of basically an unplanned, unfinanced trip. So that was like an extra thing. And then I think I mean, it's all very foggy now, but that had a cost of maybe like $1,000 also of applications. And then also on Luis's side, he had to get statements that he's like never been in jail. He had to get statements that he's never been married before. It's like a statement that you're actually single. He has to get like all of this kind of, what's it called? Like official sign things from the government saying like he is who he is. So yeah, I would say the whole thing probably said and done was like $5,000. Because then once you get married, then you have to change the status of the immigrant from a visa holder to apply card. And then that's another $1,225 once you're married, after you've paid for a wedding, which I don't know if you've ever heard of anyone getting married, but it's, that's like a whole cost also, that whole wedding part is just like a, extra money that you're like, oh yeah, weddings are expensive.
So you guys get married and all that, and then he gets here.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like? Because you guys met in Cuba on like some like, oh, it's vacation, everything is perfect, the beach and all that shit. Now he's coming to real life. What was it like? Did the guys' relationship change?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because you're on like in a long distance relationship, like I'm very independent. So I would see him every 6 weeks, and maybe for a week. And so like we would be in touch, we would talk all the time or whatever, but we're doing our own thing. We have our own lives and things are just cool. And then when we hang out, we have a blast. We're, kicking it with his family and, going out, whatever. It is very vacation, vacation love. And you know that you're going away again. But then when he arrived here, it's like the only person that this person knows is me. And they don't know public transportation. They don't know like, how to use an iPhone or a cell phone or GPS. That like I taught him how to drive. He didn't have a license. And so I taught him how to drive. He had to get his license here, which took a long time. So it's just like starting from scratch, basically. And so there's a lot of like, obviously like men in general are very proud. You don't want to depend on a woman for every single thing. You want to establish your independence, but you don't have money. You don't have a job. You don't even have the ability to work. The government doesn't even grant you a work authorization until about 6 to 9 months in. So you're basically like a house husband with no friends, no transportation. And, every dollar you want to spend, it has to go through your fiance or wife. It's very demoralizing and emasculating.
Did you feel more like it was turning into a mother-son relationship instead of a boyfriend-girlfriend, or I mean a husband and wife, when you were taking care of him, doing all this shit?
No, because it's actually very funny because there at some point in the immigration journey, you have to decide if you're going to like do it yourself or get a lawyer. And a lot of people get a lawyer to try to just like not have to worry about it. But I work for the government, like through the school district. So I'm pretty used to bureaucracy. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it myself. There's a whole Facebook group of women who bring Cubans to the United States, and it's like very mapped out, like,
Like
you get like very involved with each other. Yes. Like there are women and they're
old white ladies. Because
no,
I heard
and
something. I heard something about that. But instead of Cuba, it was Africa, where a bunch of old, like 60-year-old white bitches go over there, and then there's this island or some shit, and then all the black Africans are there specifically to get
Uh-huh.
to like being to get pulled by these old white women, and then they get married, and then these white women bring these African men who fuck the
Uh-huh.
shit out of them back to
Okay.
America. So I heard
I
about
did see
this.
that episode. I did see that episode on 90 Day Fiance. I think that is one couple where there's this like old chubby like woman from the
Yeah,
South that's
from
like deep in
Georgia.
her
Yep.
60s and
Hmm.
yep. No, this group is not like that. All these wives are like super hot, and I'm like, all right, the couples, like we even get together. I mean, pre-COVID, we would get together for barbecues. And I'm like, this is like the finest couples of all time. Like it's like dope American women who never found their dude because they're like too like busy hustling or too like like independent or opinionated or I don't know, too whatever. They go to Cuba, they meet their match, and they're like, all right, I'm going to run this. And so we basically like crowdsourced like a lawyer like resource center. We would all post our documents, sample documents or whatever. And so there were always people that were a couple weeks or a couple months in front of you. And they would be like, oh, girl, when your dude gets here, make sure to think about what type of phone you want to buy them because that's a whole fight. So there was always somebody that was a couple months ahead to kind of give advice around like what kind of fights you would probably have when they arrived. And so that's super helpful. And even now, like we always like post, even people like that are right behind me, where their husband still doesn't have a driver's license, for instance, or their husband is not working or whatever. It's just like, they're looking for somebody to like give them a pep talk and be like, all right, talk me through this because this is really challenging. So that we just basically came together and crowdsourced like, a support group. And
Mm.
that really helped out with the transition. But
So
yeah, that shit is hard. Also, marriage is hard
I know you don't want to
just by
like
itself.
talk shit about your husband, but what are some of the bad things that that you can talk about when he came to? Because I know I know COVID, right? COVID has everybody sheltering in place where you're like stuck in a
Mm-hmm.
house with someone 24/7, and
Yeah.
in the Bay Area, divorces have gone up
Mm-hmm.
30% in just the Bay Area alone.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
a lot of people. Well, I mean, this is a news show.
Okay, got it.
A lot of people are getting divorced because they're finally
Too stressful.
they're forced to spend this crazy amount of time with their spouse that they have never spent with them before.
Mm-hmm.
So they're realizing, oh shit, I can't fucking stand the way she folds her clothes and shit like that. Little things will like piss them
Mm-hmm.
off, and then they'll fight and
Yeah,
then they'll
totally.
get divorced. So what are some of the challenges that's happening with you guys?
I think right when he got here, some of the challenges were just financial stuff because, obviously, like, you just paid a bunch of money to get them there, and then you didn't even think about it because that's the goal where you're just like, okay, this is the end point. I'm just trying to get this person here so we can be together and I can wake up to them and we can like do normal stuff and we can be in love, but we're together. You don't even think about the financial planning it takes for two people to be supported in the United States off of one income. And that includes everything from health insurance, which I mean, people have a whole thread just specifically on how are you guys paying for health insurance? How are you paying for a cell phone bill and what kind of cell phone are you getting? Because, everybody's seen like everybody in other countries is like, oh, they want the newest iPhone. It's like, well, I didn't set aside $1,200 to buy you the newest iPhone, like right off top.
Yeah.
So there's all those like kind of expectations that like, oh yeah, everybody has the newest iPhone and you have the biggest data plan. It's like, yeah, maybe, but like everybody works for that stuff. So
Yes,
there's all these
I
like,
don't mean to stop you, but it's always amazing when you watch these shows and these fucking people that live in that grew up in like a mud hut and then it grow up poor with walking around with flip flops and the like tsunamis and shit, and then they come to America and they be demanding all this shit like, oh, we need to live in a bigger
mhm,
house, and like you didn't even have running water in your hut and you complaining
right.
about my one bedroom apartment. But go ahead, continue what you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, Luis was never like that. He was also always super grateful and like totally understood my perspective. But we definitely had a moment at Metro PCS where I was like, listen, you're not at iPhone level yet, bro. Like, you need to put some things together before you get to the new iPhone. You're at Metro PCS level, you know, and we're going to start there. Because that's your phone situation is just one piece of the financial puzzle that I'm having to put together like by myself. And so there's a lot of that causes a lot of conflict. And then the other thing is like, obviously I have all my friends, you know, and I have a schedule, you know, I'd see these two friends every Friday, you know, and then I might have a workout date on Tuesday. Like I already got my life set up. And then, you know, someone comes to live with you and then they don't have friends yet. So it's like, how do you help them establish friends? Do you introduce them with your friends? Are your friends their friends? Like how do you kind of like get a support system for someone that just arrived here so that they feel like they have a little bit of independence and can bounce some ideas off of somebody else that's not you? Because if you're just together all the time, it's just a recipe for disaster, really, you know? So then, and then also, you know, I do worry about these hoes out here. San Francisco got a bunch of thirsty hoes, you know, looking for
you guys have an experience like a little open thing, bring somebody in the bedroom?
No, thank you for asking though, appreciate you.
Anyway,
no,
I wasn't asking for
but
myself.
But no, I think to your question or to your comment about everybody getting divorced or divorce is happening, I think once you go through a process that requires this much fucking work and documentation, and you have to travel to another country, and you have to sit in front of multiple people and talk about your love story, how you met, your commitment to each other, all the details. You have to defend your love. You have to talk about your intentions. You have to merge your financials. I changed my name, you know, like we have been forced to be more married than I had ever thought I would be married to somebody. And after you do all that, like you're really willing to work through a lot more conflict than if I had just like met some like homie the next block down that was like, all right, you know, we're together. We like watching Netflix or whatever. That's just kind of like a come and go type of marriage, I think. Or it's easier to kind of discard that marriage because it came so easy. So it could go so easy, you know? My husband always says like the things that come easy can also take off easy, but the things that you really have to like power through some obstacles are the things that you kind of fight for. So it does help because it builds a lot of communication. And there were definitely moments during our interview process where I was like, are you sure you still want to do this? Because we really hate each other right now. So, but we just keep pushing forward, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you guys are pushing through. A lot of millennials don't get married. That's why San Francisco is full of single people. So that's why San Francisco has a hookup culture, because millennials say fuck marriage. I'm kind of like
absolutely.
That, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of women that, you know, want to have a family or wanted to have a family, and then just time just passes, you know, and then they end up getting to be, you know, past that time. And that's a real factor, you know, especially like when I was in that moment, like, am I really going to take a risk with this person? You know, like this big of a risk, but it's also like all the things that I want are there. All the signs are there. Like, why not, you know, like just do it, you know? What's like, I would just have a bunch of regret to
this is my last question.
This
is my last question. Why was it so easy for you to move that quickly with him and not so quickly with someone in the United States? Like, I'm pretty sure you met a guy in the United States that you gelled with, but you didn't. Why were you so hesitant why were you so hesitant, and why didn't you think of this with an American? And then when you go to Cuba, you are married within a week just meeting a guy. So
is this one of those like he's taking our jobs type of situation?
Yes, he's taking our jobs. Yeah.
Well, I think for two reasons. Number one, he always answers the phone and always responds to text, and that is not a given, especially in the Bay Area.
So you're saying no don't know American how many guy ever answers your text?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying even now, even 4 years into this relationship, every time I call my husband, 100% of the time he picks up the phone. 100%. It doesn't matter where he is. He's at work, he's with a friend, whatever. 100% he picks up the phone and responds to text in a timely manner. Like, and if I need something, he's right there. It's like he's like reliably cares about me. Whereas like a lot of the, a lot of the dudes well, even back then, like even I would call him at 2:00 in the morning, and he would pick up like from a dead sleep, and I would be like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, and he's like, why are you calling? I'm like, I don't know, just missed you. He's like, all right, cool. Like just always picked up. And so he's just always been reliable and been like committed. He's never not been committed to me. It's been awesome. And then the second thing is that we just line up on some things that have been really hard to find. Like he's very spiritual. He really is connected to like energy, spirits, and like a whole spiritual structure that's beyond this earth. And I've really had a hard time like finding that in the Bay Area, where everybody's like very skeptical, very like science, and very like kind of pessimistic about that kind of stuff. And he's always like wanted to have a family. Like, let's do it. Let's have a family right now as soon as possible. Yeah. So I don't know, a lot of those things that he's just like unafraid of that have always been kind of like, you're moving too fast type of stuff in other friendships or other relationships or whatever. I don't know. He's just been like, yeah, totally. Let's be together. You're my girlfriend. Let's have a family. Let's get married. I'm picking up the phone. I'm coming through. I'm working through some things. We have productive conflict, like no fear, no weirdness, no nothing. So I don't know. It's kind of just, he's just really one of a kind. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Paris, and then I had a similar situation like this. I met this chick when I was in Paris, and she was like head over heels with me. And then I'm getting on the train to go to London, and she was like, "I want to be in a relationship with you," and I was like, "What?" I was like, I couldn't. She was like, "I love you. I want to be in a relationship with you. I want to come visit you in the U.S. and all this other shit." And then I was just telling her what she wanted to hear. I was like, yeah, we can do that. And then, but when I left, I'd never talk to her again.
You're like, and fade. Paris is
I thought
Paris
it was
is a
weird
great
as fuck.
place.
I'm like, girl, we just met and we were only hanging out for like 3 days, and you talking about relationships, and I'm in America, and you're fucking in Paris. Like, come on now, let's be realistic here. So that
there's a nonstop flight from SFO to Paris.
I wouldn't
it's only
even
9 hours.
I live in Oakland, and I wouldn't even date a girl in Los Angeles. So I definitely ain't gonna date no girl in fucking Paris. I don't do the long distance thing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well,
to each his own. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story on Everyday Celebrity Media News. Can you do you want to tell the people where they can find you or book you or whatever the fuck you want to say? Your social media.
Oh yeah, I'm on. I would say my easiest social media is Instagram, Emily Van Dyke 765. That's my area code from Kokomo, Indiana. Still repping the Midwest very hard. So Emily Van Dyke 765. I post all my shows there. They're all virtual now, but hopefully we'll be back in January.
All right.
And some cute pics of me and my husband if you're curious.
Oh, this ain't a romance show.
It should be.
But anyway, all right. Well, thanks. Nice seeing you. Thanks again for sharing. And
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and give a big hug.
I hope one person is inspired to take the leap to get a Paris girlfriend and make the long distance work.
Yeah, I hope someone does that. Not me though.
Okay. All right. I hope someone is listening. All right. Thank you. Can I get another round of applause from the live audience?
Oh yeah. All right.
Yes, that was it. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate everybody supporting this. All right. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Bye. Wow. That was an interesting story. Yeah, I always find it weird that people would fucking be in relationships after meeting. After 3 days, like 3 days, and you want to get married. To me, it's kind of suspect. Like the girl in Paris, she wanted to actually be boyfriend and girlfriend, but I was like, nah. Now, when I come to Paris, we can fuck around, but when I leave, and then when I left, and then when I left a couple weeks later, come to find out she was on another American guy. So some of these people just don't give a fuck. They just want an American. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, because Americans ain't shit. But anyway, we're going to talk to our next guest. A lot of people are losing their jobs because of COVID-19. And there's a lot of information that a lot of people don't know. So, about renters' rights. So, we're going to talk to a person who deals with renter strikes. She basically organizes them and everything. She is an artist. She is a philanthropist. And she just knows a lot of shit on this topic. So I thought it would be nice to bring her on and give a little knowledge to the people. And hopefully it will help some of y'all out. So we are going to talk to Anne Marie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. What are you up to today?
Today, what did I do today? I tried to drive Lyft. It's very interesting that when I was on the show in April or whenever it was, and now we're in another lockdown, we're in another purple, and Lyft is slow as hell again. So it was, well, I did Qigong in the morning and then I tried to drive Lyft today. It just wasn't happening. So I ran errands and did this other ride share where it's children.
All right. Well, tell the people the reason I brought you on. But first, let's tell the people your name. What do you do?
So my name is Anne Marie Bustamante. I do a lot of things. I'm a upcycling fashion designer. I'm a sewing and acting teacher for children. I'm a tenants' rights activist, a teachers' rights activist, and unhoused people activist as well. Yeah, those are the things.
Okay. So one of the main reason I brought you on the show, the news show this evening, is because there's a lot of people who are going through shit right now, losing their jobs and all that shit, and then they're getting evicted or trying. The landlords are trying to evict them. So a lot of people are in the dark about their rights. A lot of people think they don't have rights when it comes to these situations. And you are kind of, you're way more knowledgeable in this subject than me. So I wanted to bring you on to talk about it. Now, can you tell us what rights do tenants have when it comes to evictions during COVID-19?
So if you are living in Oakland or Alameda County, you have some of the strongest eviction protections in the entire nation. You don't have to pay your rent. You don't have to prove that you've been financially impacted by COVID, and you might not have to pay until January of 2021. There's this new bill that is getting pushed. So it's an incredible time for people if you've been hurt financially by COVID, if you feel like you might be down the road and you want to save money. This is it. This is the time not only to protect yourself during a pandemic, during an economic collapse in our country, this is a great opportunity also. If you have outstanding repairs that your landlord isn't handling, you can withhold rent and demand that. A lot of people are organizing through the whole nation, but the Bay Area is just, it's incredible. People have stood up to their landlords and gotten a lot of things handled. So
So well,
it's
you say you don't have to pay rent now
mhm.
until like January. Now, when January comes, are you going to have to pay all that back rent back?
So you would slowly pay it back. So for example, if you aren't part of a tenant union and you aren't able to have meetings with your landlord and set your demands out, for example, a lot of tenants councils, some of them have won this, but a lot of tenants councils are saying we want full rent forgiveness for everyone affected by COVID. We want rent reductions. We want 50% of the rent forgiven, or lots of things. And as it is now, there's 3 different moratorium, but we go by the ones that protect the tenants the most. Alameda County gives you 60 days after the state of emergency ends. So if we're in a state of emergency for years, we're not going to have to pay rent anytime soon. And then when you do have to pay rent, like I said, if you haven't already worked out some other deal with your landlords, you would pay back slowly, and it wouldn't go to the landlord. It would be to a creditor through the city. So let me break it down so it's a little
Wait,
easier.
wait. Before you break it down, this is a
Yeah, of
question I have. So, if no one is paying rent, I'm just be devil's advocate right now,
course.
and then you have a landlord who owns the building. Are they not? Can they say, "Oh, well, these people aren't paying rent, so I shouldn't have to pay my mortgage on the building"?
Yeah, it would be great if mortgages could be forgiven and rent could be forgiven.
So,
That's
so,
up to
so
them,
as of right now, the people who own the building still have to pay,
the
but the people who
mortgages.
live in the mortgages, but the people who live in the building don't have to pay the rent.
Yeah, it also depends on if you're like a small mom and pop landlord with one house that you're renting, or a giant financial investment company that has, billions of dollars worth of assets. What I've heard that you could do as a landlord is, in your taxes, just count it as a loss. You look at your past year and you say, this is my profit from last year. This is the profit from this year. This is a loss. And then you get a tax deduction of what that is, what that amount is. So there's a lot of possibilities. Um,
I don't see how that's. I mean, I understand like we don't have to pay rent because I mean everything is shut down. We can't work. But
mhm.
then to say that okay, the landlord, you still have to pay your fucking bills to keep, like, let's say I have a building, right?
Mhm.
And then I have 5 people. I have 5 units in this building. I own the building and all that shit.
Mhm.
And then I have 5 units in the building. Each of them pay $2,000 in rent. Now this COVID shit happens, and
Yeah.
then the government's saying, okay, these people in the apartment don't have to pay rent. So months and months go by, and I'm relying on this $10,000 a month to handle the landscaping, to fucking pay the trash, and for you motherfuckers who are dumping trash, I gotta pay for the trash guy. I gotta pay for maintenance in the building when shit goes wrong in your apartments. I gotta pay for that. So I'm relying on this income from this rent, and to say that okay, you guys don't have to pay rent, but I still have to do all this stuff to maintain this building for you. I still have to pay the mortgage. Do you think that's fair?
I think it would depend on which landlord it is. Like, for example, our landlord, they made $2 million a month just in profits, and they have 24 buildings across California and Oregon. They are chilling. They're fine. They're spending money retrofitting vacant units instead of fixing uh, the flooding and the holes in the walls and the rats. We have units in our building where they've killed 17 rats in 1 year and nothing is done with the landlord. You know, like you can sympathize with them, but it's to a point. And I hope that
Well,
they
not
get,
all, not all,
you
not
know,
all buildings are owned by millionaires. Some of them are owned by like
of course,
mom and pops who took
absolutely.
their life investments and their life savings and bought a building, and it was like, okay, we're gonna fucking we struck it rich by buying this building, but now we're fucked up because no one is paying rent.
Yeah, it's I do sympathize with that specific hypothetical landlord. And on top of it, there's a mass exodus in the Bay Area. Everyone's leaving San Francisco. If you can work from home, you're just going to go somewhere with cheaper rent, or you're going to move back in with your parents. You're going to do something else. And rent in Oakland and San Francisco has gone down so much. It's the first time since like 2008, you know? It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So there's a lot of challenges for the building owners, more so than like they don't even want the tenants to stay here. They're offering people forgiveness if they just like up and leave because it's cheaper to try and fill a unit than to have someone not paying. But at the same time, so many people are leaving just on their own.
So you were going to break it down before we so do you remember? Yeah, break whatever
Yeah.
you was going to break it down.
So I'll use myself as an example because that's what I understand the most. So we are withholding our rent, and there's 5 people that live in my unit. A few of them haven't been affected by COVID, so they're continuing to pay. Most of us are screwed and we're withholding. So let's say the state of emergency ends in March. So once March begins and the eviction moratorium for the county ends, we would have 60 days to start paying it back. So we would pay monthly.
So you have 60 days to pay it in full?
No. So you have a whole year
A whole
after you
year.
start paying it back.
Mm.
So pretty much my original rent would just double,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would go. Yeah.
So
But
how
hopefully
does
that's not the case.
so you say
Hopefully we can.
you got you say you got 5 people living in your unit, right?
Yeah.
And some of them continue to pay rent? How does that work? Everyone has their own individual lease or something?
The lease is a whole other issue. One tactic by our landlords to disrupt the units is that they are refusing to add people to the lease. So we have people who've been here for years and have tried to get on the lease as best as possible, but it's not happening. And then once COVID hits, they're sending us mail with everyone's name. Everyone's finally recognized. Now that they want something from you, they're finally admitting you are a tenant of theirs, and that gives you so many more legal protections. So that in itself is like a huge win.
Okay. So how long have you guys been withholding rent?
We've been withholding since March.
Since March.
Mm-hmm.
And what building is this?
This is the Vulcan Lofts, and we're kind of in East Oakland where the industrial area is. The building is a converted steel foundry.
Mm. And the Shiesty landlord company, who are they?
Oh yes, Madison Park Financial, owned by John Protopopoulos and his family.
John, what's his name? John Protopopoulos?
John Protopopoulos. He used to be a guitarist, and he's very connected politically. He's a very powerful person.
Okay. What can people do, or where can they get information if they're on the verge of experiencing this situation? Do you have any information on that?
Absolutely. So if you are a renter and you've been financially impacted by COVID, or like I said, if you feel like you will be financially impacted by COVID, you can squeeze by now, but you'd prefer to save your money for if you have a health emergency or something like this, go to baytank.org. That's BAYTANC.org. That's stands for tenants and neighborhood councils. They're a cluster of all the tenants councils in the entire Bay Area, and they have law students that kind of come together in groups, and it's like a think tank. We all share our experiences with our landlords so we know what to kind of expect, and we learn from each other, and we host car caravans. We show up at a landlord's house if they're trying to illegally evict someone. We will block that eviction. So I'll probably link everything into the chat on this as well. But there's a lot more people out. There's a lot more people like you out there. So definitely connect yourself, get involved, learn your rights, because they can't take advantage of you when you know your rights.
That's a good. Say that again. Say that quote. Is that a famous quote or something?
No, it's just fact. They cannot take advantage of you when you know your rights.
Okay, I heard that before. Well, thank you, Anne Marie, for coming on and sharing your knowledge for all these people.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are affected and will be affected in the future, and hopefully they can watch this and get some information on it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Do you want to? You have any last words? You want to tell people your social media or anything that you want to promote right now?
Sure. Go on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Look up Artists Building Communities. We're building tiny homes for unhoused people, and this week we're collaborating with Essential Food and Medicine and the acronym is ART. Art. I'll have to link it to the thing, but Sir Cobalot, who creates beautiful, sustainable, like plastic reclaiming structures. We're going to build a community kitchen in West Oakland for an encampment tomorrow, and it's very exciting. If you'd like to volunteer or donate, please check out Artists Building Communities.
How many tiny houses have you finished?
We built 6.
6?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they located at?
So there's a few in the Fruitvale district, and the majority of them are in West Oakland.
Are you guys working on one right now currently?
Nope, we will in January though. We're going to work on the community kitchen, and they're also creating a clinic. So like a health clinic for folks to come in and receive holistic advice and medications. Yeah, it's going to be really wonderful.
Dope. Well, keep me updated on your journey, on all your little things that you're doing, and let's keep in contact. And thanks for coming on Everyday Celebrity Media News. All right. Talk to you later.
See you.
Bye. Well, that was Anne Marie Bustamante, I mean. Yeah, if you guys are having trouble or getting threatened, know your rights, because you don't want to be the landlords are just like insurance companies. They motherfuckers are not here for you. Some of them are cool, but the majority of them, they want to get your ass out so they can bring somebody else in, and bring somebody else in that's going to pay way more than what you pay. I went through that situation before. But I chose to get out. You just gotta know your rights and how to negotiate, and then you gotta get paid. You know what I'm saying? So that was an enlightened show. That's all of the guests that we have for tonight, and I think it's time for ECM Sports. Let's see if we have our sports reporter on the line. We're gonna give him a few minutes. But anyways, yeah, please follow Anne Marie Bustamante on her Instagram.
Yo, 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 yo.
We have Ron Freed back from the dead to give us the rundown on everyday celebrity media news sports. Hello, sir.
What's going on, big bro? Right now, the biggest sports topic is this race to find out what we're going to do with this presidential debate or this presidential situation, these electoral votes, and this overturning of the presidency, the votes. That's the biggest.
That's not going to happen. So what are you talking about?
I'm also talking about giving a shout out to the Grand National crew. Their new sweater just dropped. I caught me one, so I can be kind of fly.
I was supposed to interview that. I was supposed to interview all of them, but we had some complications.
Scheduling issues.
Yes. But anyway,
definitely the squad to get in tune with. Sports is all over the map, man. Shout out to COVID messing up, all the sports that's going on. Yesterday, Dez Bryant couldn't play in a football game because of COVID. What the fuck? That's
Dez
crazy.
Bryant?
Say it again.
You said Dez Bryant
was not allowed to play yesterday because he was tested for COVID right before the game and apparently had COVID. I personally think Jerry Jones rigged it because he didn't want him to play against the Cowboys. But then COVID is so crazy. We got NFL games being played on Tuesdays. I'm not with it. I'm putting an asterisk on 2020 when it comes to everything sports and just everything sane. Right, big news though, James Harden out here trying to get traded out of Houston.
Let's talk about the NBA. What's going on in the NBA?
Yep. I mean, shit's all over the place. Paul George is blaming Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is telling him he should have played better. It's all over the map. I'm loving it though. Kyrie and KD look like they're getting ready to do something. Everybody going east when LeBron go west, so now the west is weak and the east is the beast. What do you think about that?
The east is not a beast. That nigga's got probably like two teams. Milwaukee's going to be another failure, just like they always been, because their superstar cannot shoot. And Chicago's garbage. Washington's going to be an average team. They might make the playoffs, 6 or 7
Washington's going to be a 4 seed next year. Book it. If Westbrook plays 65 games, they're a 4 seed.
Miami is the only reason they was hot because of last year. They're one of those teams that were hot and they're not gonna improve.
You don't think Tyler Hero is gonna get better, or you don't think Bam is gonna get better?
Fuck no. Bam's gonna get better, but Tyler Hero, if you banging on Tyler Hero to take you over the threshold, then you crazy.
Did nobody say nothing about him taking you over the threshold? I asked you, did you think he was going to improve?
They're going to be. You can improve, but that team, their standing ain't going to improve. I mean, they did go to the finals, but that was the bubble. That was basically like gym. That's like 24-hour fitness play.
I do got to talk about a little segue here, staying on the Tyler Hero topic. Your boy Tyler Hero said that he gets picked on when he's on defense because he's white, and he noticed that Duncan Robinson also gets picked on.
Fix your phone so we can see your face, man.
Can you not see
Lift
my
your
face?
yeah.
Not here.
All right, your whole face,
Look closer.
not in the
Yes.
nose, nigga, but back the phone up a little bit.
I'm not feeling you right now.
So you say he gets picked on because he's white?
He says that players in the NBA go at him and go at Duncan Robinson because they're white, and they feel like white players are inferior. So it was like it had me puzzled. I thought it was funny. It sounded like he was trying to get some clout for being a victim, but when LeBron go at Steph Curry in the finals, it's not because he light skinned, it's because he's the least effective defender on the court. He's the smallest defender. It's a mismatch automatically.
Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, them niggas are horrible defensive players, and they're scrawny as fuck. So hell yeah, they go at you.
Yeah, and that supersedes that white skin. So I was slightly offended at the reach for being a victim, even though, you know.
But name me one white NBA player in history that was a top defensive player. There wasn't one.
A top defensive player?
Yes, nigga. That's white.
Like all NBA defender?
Yes.
Yeah, that is definitely a Google basketball reference deep
there
search.
There is none.
Maybe Bill Walton.
No.
Defender,
he was rebounder, nigga.
Before his feet got tore up when he won a championship in Portland, he was known as a defender.
He wasn't a top defensive player. He was a top rebounder. Rebounder, that's different.
Rebounding is defense. A defensive rebound leads to a stop. It's just as good as a steal.
Well, let's just say there hasn't been a white defensive player of the year in 50 years.
We're being interrupted right now.
So the NBA is starting when?
First game, December 22nd. I'm looking forward to it. You got the Warriors going against Brooklyn, and you got the Lakers going against the Bucks. Should be some good basketball the first night out. I'm hella curious to see what Wiseman is going to look like as a pro. I didn't even watch him play in college, so I just got to try to get a feel for this dude. 15 games, see how he going to look.
Who?
He and Draymond both. Say it again.
You said the Warriors pick?
Yep, James Wiseman.
You think he's going to start?
Like. Say it again.
You think he's going to start?
Honestly, I wouldn't start him. I would start Marquise Chris to start the year unless he is dominating Marquise Chris in practice. I'm starting Marquise Chris. Marquise Chris showed flashes last year to me. He's a top 10 draft pick who kind of fell off just because of the situations he was in and not really working out personality-wise. But as far as his skills, when he got drafted out of Washington, he was a good player.
The NBA preseason starts this Friday. Did you know that?
I did. It's got to start this Friday if they're going to start games on the 22nd.
And who do you got winning that game?
The Warriors versus the Nets?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fun to see, but I think the Nets might pull it off just because the Warriors got a whole new roster. It's going to might be a little difficult to get a win with the pieces like never played together. But then New Jersey is in the same boat, but they got KD, so that kind of is an equalizer in that situation to me.
I don't even think KD go play in the preseason. Nigga might play 2 minutes or something.
Just to get a couple shots up so he don't tear that Achilles again.
Yeah, because you know he gonna be scared. He gonna get flashbacks of when he was in last year. He gonna be nervous.
Wouldn't you be a little scared too?
Hell no, not after sitting out for down there 2 years. Hell no, I wouldn't. Your shit should be all the way healed.
The fact that he could have played in the bubble and he chose not to makes that championship even weaker. And I would love it if LeBron stopped trying to spin a narrative that he won the 2 hardest championships in NBA history, because it's just not true.
Well, the only thing that counts is
2011 Mavericks won a harder championship than LeBron ever won.
Well, that's y'all niggas saying that LeBron is better than Jordan.
Y'all?
Y'all young niggas, yeah, y'all.
Yeah.
Niggas, Who didn't grow up
We
in the?
must be talking about imaginary people because I'm older than you. So,
And so what's football news?
man, we got the Des Bryant news starting off. You got Alex Smith. He's balling after breaking his leg and like tearing his leg up. He's back. He's going to be the comeback player of the year. The Cowboys suck. The Raiders, they suck one week and they're good another week. The Niners, shit rash. I'm happy to see it. They're having a horrible season. All their fans last season were having too much fun and talking too much shit, and it's just good to see that they had to eat all that shit this year. But yeah, man, it's coming down. The NFL is expanding the amount of teams that can play in the playoffs, so it's going to be 7 teams from each conference, from the AFC and the NFC, which is going to lend for the potential to have a weaker team potentially have an upset, especially if COVID hits, and let's say your quarterback can't play in the first round of the playoffs. You could potentially see a 7 seed beating a 1 seed. I can't wait to see it personally. I think it's going to be trash football myself, and I'm putting an asterisk on the Super Bowl because they got too many playoff teams, and it's going to be watered down. Straight up.
So
I
basically,
appreciate the NFL giving me angles to put asterisks on their season the same way the NBA gave me a position to do it as well.
So you putting an asterisk on basically every team that wins the title of 2020 and 2021.
It's so many bullshit angles of how teams is getting the championships. Like I listened to what Dame said about how much rest they got in the bubble. Like it was like you was just going to the gym to go hoop, and then you was going right back to the hotel fully rested. It was like none of the same factors that go into really having playoff basketball. And yeah, everybody under the same rules, but at the same time, it's also still not the real factors of what a team would really go through. LeBron made a comment the other day where he talked about he felt bad for the players on his team that won the championship for the first time because they're not getting the real experience of having the fans there and just the noise and just the whole celebration. Like the bubble didn't give you none of that. So another reason why that shit was phony. Asterisk. Hell it.
All right. So who do you got coming out for the Super Bowl? You got Super Bowl picks?
I got a Super Bowl pick for the AFC. It's still up in the air for me for the NFC. My Super Bowl pick for the AFC, barring injuries, is the Kansas City Chiefs because their defense is decent and that offense is next level. And then for the NFC, I would probably say, I don't even like picking it, but I would say the Saints or the Packers. They look like the two like most
to the Super Bowl
for the Super Bowl. Either one of them would represent the NFC. They're the only two teams that like really look like they got action. Tampa Bay looks terrible with Tom Brady. They're so inconsistent. And yeah.
In the NBA, who do you think is going to come out the West?
I think the NBA has a real agenda to try and get LeBron more rings because his finals record is so horrible. So if it's not the Warriors, I'm gonna say the Lakers.
Do you think the Lakers in the free agency? Which team do you think did the best in free agency?
Which team did the best in free agency? I think it remains to be seen. I think the moves the Lakers made look good on paper, but I'm gonna be curious to see what kind of deep.
We lost him. I got a cheap ass phone. Well, seems like we lost our reporter. Just great. Well, everyone, I'm going to just call it. This was Everyday Celebrity Media News. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys got some knowledge. I hope you guys join me next week. Like I said, this is a interactive news show. So when you see the number scrolling on the top of the screen, make sure you call and voice your opinion on any and everything. Or if you see something going on out in the street that you want to talk about, or if you're going through something at work, at home, or whatever you want to talk about, it could be anything in the world. You call in on that number, and yeah, we gonna talk. And also, we are live every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. That's Pacific Standard Time on Facebook. And if you miss it live, you can always watch it the next day on Everyday Celebrity Media Company's YouTube show. Now, that is it. I am out. Enjoy your night, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.